Joe Biden is reaching levels of self-parody that I previously thought were impossible. So take a look at what Politico says. Joe Biden on Wednesday dug in on his assertion that Elizabeth Warren is elitist, hoping to cast his fellow frontrunner as an Ivy League liberal out of sync with the middle class. Biden's comment was in a Medium post on Tuesday and reiterated in a radio interview this morning, underscores the theme central to Biden's candidacy, that he is the lone Democrat who can win back the white working-class voters who swung the 2016 election to Donald Trump. Quote, if you don't agree with Elizabeth Warren, you must somehow be not a Democrat. You must somehow be corrupt. You must somehow not be as smart as she is, Biden said on SiriusXM's Urban View. It's just something we don't do in our party. It's not who we are. She has things in her plan that are just not realistic. But if you question it, she says, you don't understand or you're talking like a Republican, Biden said. It's just an elitist attitude that it's either my way or the highway. You know, he's got some nerve, man. He's got some nerve. Anybody who follows this stuff, not even closely, anybody who follows this stuff, even from like a slight distance, can look at this and go, oh my God, he's projecting. This is all it is. It's sheer projection. Because Joe Biden, you're the person who goes out there and says, we're America. We can do anything. Anything. And then the next sentence, you're like, definitely not Medicare for all. We definitely can't give everybody health care because that's pie in the sky, unicorn, fairy dust nonsense. Wait, which is it? Can we do anything because we're America? Or can we not do a basic thing that every other developed country has found a way of doing? Which is it? And he's saying elitist because he's like, oh, if you don't agree with her, you must be wrong. You must be a Republican. No, the reason why they're calling, your ideas like a Republican are because your ideas are like a Republican. That's why they're doing that. Because all you have is half measures that keep the status quo intact. I mean, his healthcare bill, what is it? I forget the exact number. It's like 5 or 10 million people who are uncovered as a result of his health insurance policy that he proposed. Okay, there's a reason why they're calling you like a Republican, because the Republicans have no problem leaving people uncovered, and neither does Joe Biden. That's why. So he's got some nerve spinning this as because she cares about the policies that she's proposing. And by the way, everybody knows I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter, not an Elizabeth Warren supporter. Bernie's for the left of Elizabeth Warren. So I should make that clear. But her policy proposals are much more detailed than Biden's. And the fact that she's wonky doesn't equal elitist. Wonky doesn't equal elitist. Elitist is serving the interest of elites. And again, the reason they call you corrupt is not because you're Joe Biden or you're middle-class Joe, as you call yourself. It's because you are corrupt. And by the way, at the exact same time that this headline was running about how Joe Biden called Elizabeth Warren elitist, look at what Biden was doing. Joe Biden tells K Street fundraiser GOP will have epiphany after Trump. So as he's calling her elitist, he's doing big money fundraisers. I mean, it's self-parody, man. At the same time a headline's running, Joe Biden says Elizabeth Warren is elitist. He's out there doing a K Street fundraiser. And by the way, no, Republicans will not have an epiphany after Trump. Not even close. You were in the White House for 8 years with Obama. You didn't see that the establishment Republican Party is TFG, too far gone? You didn't see that? Because they broke the filibuster record when Obama was in there. You think they're what? They're somehow going to agree with you, like you, meet you halfway, do your ideas. Are you crazy? There's no way that that's true. But the reality is, guys, he keeps saying this stuff because he's going to go do their policies and then pretend like it's a success when he agrees, oh, we got to cut Social Security and Medicare, for example. He's going to want to do a grand bargain. And then he's going to turn around and spin it as like, what a great victory this is, bipartisan agreement. But it's not because they came to his position, it's because he went to their position. But isn't that amazing? As he's accusing other candidates of being elitist, he's doing a big money fundraiser. By the way, he's also accepting super PAC money now. Why? Because he couldn't cut it just raising money from individual donors, from small dollar donors, because he doesn't have that same grassroots support as Bernie Sanders does, and even as Elizabeth Warren does. He doesn't have that same grassroots level of support. So, again, projection 101. Projection 101. I'll accuse you guys of being elitist as I do a K-Street fundraiser, as I accept money from a super PAC. By the way, the reason why it's so disgusting is because a super PAC, since it's technically an independent outside group spending on the election, you could have one billionaire give as much money as they want, and then he could fund his campaign with the money of just one or two billionaires. So he's like a shadow candidate. He's a propped up candidate. There's not genuine grassroots enthusiasm. And so, I mean, but it is going to come back to kick him in the butt because, I mean, listen, what's going to happen when it's actually time to vote and you haven't built that grassroots support? What's going to happen? Right now, he's still leading in some polls, but I call it default support. It's default supporters. People, I don't know, I guess Joe Biden. It's those people. It's not the people who follow politics closely. He calls her elitist, and he says, I'm the only person who can win the white working class voters that swung the 2016 election to Donald Trump. Guys, Joe Biden is a guy who has supported all these outsourcing deals. He supported NAFTA. And you're going to go win back the working class voters. By the way, I hate that he frames it as white working class. Because why are you adding a racial angle to it? When I talk about the working class, I talk about people of all colors, ethnicities, backgrounds, faiths. I mean, so he's narrowing it on purpose. That's really creepy and weird. But he said, I'm the only one who can win them back. Why? Because you're an older white guy and you think that they identify with you more? But her policies actually help the working class more than your policies do. Bernie's helps them more than both of you guys, but Elizabeth Warren is better than you in terms of the policies helping that region of the country. So you think, I mean, listen, he's lucky that to this point people haven't really gone to the mat against him because the mask can get ripped off of Joe Biden super quickly. You're talking about a guy who was for NAFTA. You're talking about a guy who really pushed for the Iraq War. This is a guy who, on almost every major issue, when it mattered, he was on the wrong side of it. He's so vulnerable, on top of the fact that he's barely coherent anymore. The idea that he's the best bet against Donald Trump, it's this facade of electability because the media keeps saying Joe Biden is the most electable. But he's not the most electable. He's the most vulnerable candidate. He's talking about the kids need to hear words. What was the other part of it? I'm blanking on the other part of it now. Keep the record player on at night. Make sure the kids hear words. This guy's he's going to be all over the place. He's going to make no sense. He's going to be incoherent, and Trump's going to bash him over the head. I'm telling you, man, you cannot go in the direction of Joe Biden. He's the least electable. Even putting aside the fact that I disagree with him on a lot of his policy positions, and he's a very conservative Democrat. He's a very corporate, corrupt Democrat. He's just, even from just a stylistic perspective, he's the most vulnerable. Elizabeth Warren, I have disagreements with her wonky, technocratic, professorial approach, but I still think it's better than Joe Biden. So, there you have it. Anytime these clowns are telling you, oh, it's unrealistic to do the policies that the left wants to do, just understand, again, every other developed country has these basic policies that we're calling for. So really, that's their way of saying, I can't argue with you on the substance. I can't make a counter policy point. So I'm just going to take the whole conversation and push it to the side and say, well, throw a wet blanket over it. Well, what are you going to do? It's unrealistic. So, it's big change. We can't do that. We shouldn't do that. Every step of the way, man. Could you imagine what Joe Biden would have said when women were first pushing for the right to vote? Come on, it's unrealistic. That's change that's too radical. What are we going to do? Maybe there's a half measure. Only landowning women can vote or something. I don't know. We'll find something, but not I mean, come on, going too far here. Women voting. On the issue of segregation, what if he was, when that debate first started, what if he was a political player? I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems pretty unrealistic to me. We've had this entire U.S. experiment, and people of color haven't had the right to vote. Really? We're gonna get to a point where they can vote? And you might say, come on, Kyle, you're being unfair. But remember, early in Joe Biden's career, he did work with segregationists, and he agreed with them on segregation, particularly busing. So he didn't want forced desegregated busing. Wow. So he's adopting their language and their framing. Oh, it's forced to desegregate it. It's forced to desegregate busing. So he's Obama's VP, and he's coasting off that, that label to this point. But it's time for that mask to come off, man, because he's the elitist, as he's accusing everybody else of being elitist. He's the one taking big money. He's the one representing the policy positions of the 1%. So it is ironic and it is projection for him to do this. And it's really frustrating because, again, he's got nothing to run on. So he's trying all these shortcuts. He's like cheating in the discourse, and this is the result.